The first tab at the top here, the Webiva website tab, is where you're going to be spending a lot of your time when you're initially building and editing your site. It lets you add and move around the various pieces of your site. So here we are in a newly created domain, demo.webiva.com. You'll see the only thing we've got is this default homepage that was created for us. Now normally you're going to see the URL for the pages here in this little side site tree, but the homepage is a special case. It gets a special name just because it's easier to click on than just a slash. So if we want to add a new page, we're going to click back on this Add Site Elements, which shows us the available elements that we can add to our page, and we're just going to drag this new page onto the parent. So here we're just going to drag it right onto the root of the domain, demo.webiva.com. We now can type in the URL for this page, so we're just going to type in about-us and press enter, which will save the URL. To edit the URL for a page, we can just double click on it here in the sidebar. And if we want to change it, we press enter. If we want to cancel the name change, just press escape. So clicking on this page brings up information about this page. If we want to jump in and just edit our new page, we can click edit page right here. We've also got some icons here in the top right. The trash can icon will delete a page. The little plus icon will duplicate a page. And we can see that right now we've got the English version highlighted. If you have multiple languages on your site, you'll see you can edit each of these different areas of the page by clicking on the correct icon. So if we want to edit the metadata about the About Us page, we can click on Options or on this little edit link right here, and this will just take us over to a new tab where we'll see we can put in about our company or whatever information we want about our page. The title is the information that appears at the very top of the browser bar. The menu title is what would be used in an automatic menu if we were to create one. Keywords and description are the metadata for the page, and you'll see we've got a whole bunch of additional fields. Most of these are used in the menu to add in additional information. We can also set some page level options, like whether or not this page should be archived, whether or not it should show up in the sitemap, and whether or not we want search engines to index the page. So we click Update. You'll see this has updated our page with this new information. We could also run an experiment if we wanted. What that would do is let us have two versions of the page. We'll talk about page versions when we get into the page editor. But we could send half of our traffic to each different version of the page and get an idea of which page converts better. So once we've got a page in here, we can add more pages in. We can add subpages, so we can add a page called More Info as a subpage to the About Us page. We can click this duplicate button I talked about, which will now duplicate this page and say, let's call it Contact Us. And if we click on the little icon, we can drag and drop and move the pages around. So you'll see we moved Contact Us from underneath About Us to its own page. Just at the root of the site structure. Now the order of pages is kind of important, primarily for menus. The automatic menu is the way that the system can automatically create pages. It's very configurable, but the order of your pages is the order they're going to show up in the menu. So to change that order, just click on the page to highlight it, and you can press the up and down buttons, the up and down keys, and that will change the order of the page. Alright, so we've got a whole bunch of additional elements we can add to our site. Pages are what you might imagine, an actual page on the website. We've also got files. So when you add a file to the file manager, it puts it at this kind of deep path, but if we wanted a file or a folder of files to sit directly at a specific URL, so let's say we wanted workbook.pdf to show up right here, we could just add a file element to our site structure and then click select a file and pick that element from the file manager. Redirects do exactly what you think they'll do. It lets you redirect to a different page of your site or to another site entirely. So let's say we call this one To Other Site, click on it to edit it. We either pick a page of our site where we want to redirect to, or we can have it go to an external URL. So if we say go to google.com and then we were to click on demo.webiva.com/tooother site, I'm just center clicked here. You'll see it actually redirected us over to Google. So other elements we got are a group. What a group does is let you group a whole bunch of pages together without affecting their URL. If you were add a subpage to say the About Us, so let me give this a name real quick. So you'll see this More Info page actually shows up underneath About Us More Info. But if I drag this down to Landing Pages and click on it, you'll see it's now just at the top root. Having a group means that you can add some modifiers directly to that group. We'll talk about that in a second. You can also have a group be closed by default, so when you come to the website tab, it'll show up closed. So if you have a whole bunch of landing pages or redirects or something like that, that will show up closed if we check this box. So now there's the idea of modifiers. So modifiers let you affect an individual page as well as all the pages and elements beneath that page. So the first modifier is the theme modifier, and that changes kind of the style of the whole site. You can add as many different themes as you want. We've got a theme library that you can kind of easily import themes from. It's pretty simple to create themes. They've just got a couple special tags installed in them. Here we've only got one default theme, but you can add as many different themes as you want to a website. Here we've added it directly to the demo.webiva.com main root, and we're just going to have it use the default theme. So modifiers apply left to right, and like I said, they apply all the way down the site tree. So every page underneath this root, which is every page of our site, is now by default going to have this theme. If we wanted to add a different theme to a different portion of our site, we could just drag that onto that page, and if we had more than one theme, we would select that other theme. So a framework is one of the kind of more complicated ideas, but before we get to that, let's talk about the way themes are applied. As I mentioned, they're applied left to right. So here we want actually our framework to appear after our theme modifier. So we're just going to press the right arrow key, and that's going to move that modifier to the right. We can also add modifiers that appear after the page. So here, let's say we didn't want the About Us page to be affected by this framework modifier. We can just move it to after the page, and what will happen is that all the subpages underneath About Us, we don't have any right now, but we could add them in, would be affected by that modifier. So again, what is a framework modifier? Well, what it does is it lets you kind of edit a page as you would normally, but every paragraph, everything you add onto that framework modifier will stick around all the way down the site tree. So it's where you add your login blocks, your menus, any kind of dynamic content or even static content that you want to appear kind of throughout the rest of your site. So now we've got a couple more modifiers. We've got this lock, and what that does is control access to a page. So let's say we had a members section. So this is members only. What we could do is drag on a lock modifier and say, well, we want everyone except anonymous users to be able to access this page, and if you're an anonymous user, let's redirect you to the home page. Now, what we haven't talked about is how users log in or how they register for your site. That's actually some specific paragraphs that you can add to a page, but luckily if you click on wizards, there's a wizard that will add a member site, kind of all the various pieces you need to create a membership site directly to your site. The last two are SSL and domain control. SSL modifier just forces that page to be under SSL, and domain control just lets you pick a specific domain for that page to appear under. You can add multiple domains to one site, and so if you want some parts of your site to appear under one domain and some to appear under another domain, that's what the domain control modifier is for. Now, by default, all on webiva.com, all Webiva, star.webiva.com domains are available with an SSL certificate, but it's an extra cost if you want to use your own SSL certificate. So one thing you'll want to do is, let's say you have a checkout process with your shop, you'll want to, by default, if you don't want to add in your own SSL certificate, you can just use a .webiva.com domain, and that way your checkout process users will be protected by SSL during their checkout process. We've got this last thing called modules. What modules are available depend on kind of what modules you've activated. But here the robots.txt, this will add a robots.txt file which you can edit, which controls what search engines will crawl of your site. And this will add a sitemap.xml, which will help search engines know how to index your site. What else do we got? So we've also got this quick edit tab. So if you want to kind of edit the metadata about the various of your pages of your site quickly and get an overview for where you're missing metadata, this is where you can do it. So let's say you want to edit the contact us. We can do that very quickly. Contact us, say contact. And you'll see we've got our metadata updated right here. The way we normally build sites is we'll add a whole bunch of pages in, and then we'll go back and we'll kind of SEO optimize the metadata for each of the various pages all at once, so we can get a real overview of what keywords we want to focus on our site. All right, well, that's an overview of the website tab.